question? I guess not. Well then, Sheriff Basenko, let me address this question to you, realizing that you may have limited knowledge on this. Was the RFQ miswritten? Was it factual? Did it capture specifically what we had in mind?
I do not have a copy of the RFQ, so I could not answer those questions.
Okay. I see Mr. Lindsay is approaching the diocese.
I can address that. Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. Mike Lindsay, Chief Fiscal Officer for the Sheriff's Office. Supervisor Kehoe, in response to your question, I might be able to shed a little bit of light on that. The specifications that were included in the RFQ were very particular as far as what we were looking for in this trailer, and that was included as an attachment to the RFQ. So it was spelled out very, very plainly what we
So it was adequate to our needs.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The concern I have is a statement on the top of page 2, where we indicate that 2 responses were received, and those were reviewed by staff for adherence to the requirements as well as for cost factors. Neither party was fully responsive to the specifications. However, the most responsive respondent, Garrett Custom Trailers, also provided the lowest cost quote. So I guess I'm looking for information on why they were both unresponsive, number one, and given the fact that they were unresponsive, why are we proceeding forward? And I guess the answer to that second question is the money goes away after September 30th, 2012. And my observation would be, is this a sound business practice to proceed with respondents who have not satisfied the RFQ?
The issues specific to being non-responsive are in the specifications, such as, I can give you an example. One of the specifications is for a 100-gallon freshwater tank, and then there's supposed to be a 60-gallon gray water, a 30-gallon black water tank. Because of the various trailer configurations and the things that these different vendors can put together, like Garrett Custom Trailers, they're going to provide us with 2 30-gallon freshwater tanks instead of a 100-gallon freshwater tank. So those items were looked at, and I can tell you that Lieutenant Campbell and Sergeant Les James of the Reading Police Department, who are both the commander of CENTIF and our Sheriff's Office command personnel for CENTIF, they examined those and they were comfortable with the differences in the proposals, and that it will still satisfy what our needs are.
In fairness, did we advise the other respondent that we had modified the RFQ?
We didn't modify the RFQ. The RFQ still stands as what was presented, but since none of the respondents to the RFQ spec'd their proposed trailer to the exact specifications as provided in the RFQ, we had the decision of, is what was presented sufficient and will it work for what our needs are, or do we scrap the RFQ, go back out again? And if we did do that, then we would run into a time issue.
I understand that pragmatic approach, but did you inform the other respondent?
I do not know specifically what was put into the letter that was sent to the other respondent.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yes. Just for legal counsel, hearing the discussion, do you have any concerns about the legality moving forward?
Based upon what I've heard today, I do not have any specific concerns as far as moving forward, as long as our own policies and processes were complied with. Unfortunately, it doesn't appear as if our office was involved, so I can't say for certain, but based upon, and I'll relate to Mr. Lindsay, as long as our county policies were complied with, then my office has no concerns with moving forward.
I'll move approval then.
Been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion
My,
carries.
my negative vote is not having to do with the efficacy of what we're trying to do here, it's with our process.
Motion carries 3-1.
Thank you.
Question regarding process, it said four-fifths vote
Excuse
required.
me, it says it requires a four-fifths vote. Then let me back up. What is required, as I understand it, for a four-fifths vote is the budget amendment. So at this point, if, and maybe perhaps we can clarify what the nature of Supervisor Kehoe's objection is. If it's to the entire thing, then yes, this would not, the budget amendment would not go forward, but the contract would be approved.
It is not my intent to stall this activity and this contract. So I would be amenable to having the second vote on this, where I will be supportive of it.
I'll move approval,
But do we have to recant the first vote?
maybe.
Yes, I would suggest that we basically undo the process. Yes, withdraw a motion to withdraw the previous action.
I'd move to withdraw previous action.
Second.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded to withdraw our previous vote. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that motion carries.
And then we'll move to approve as submitted.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you
Kehoe.
very much.
R7, Public Works, Mental Health Elevator Renovation Budget Amendments. Mr., no, not Mr. Minturn.
Good morning. Ken Cristobal, Chief Fiscal Officer, Public Works Chief Fiscal Officer. The budget amendment for you today is for the mental health main elevator renovation project in the LBNI budget. We originally budgeted $279,000 in the 11-12 fiscal year. We were optimistic that this project would be completed within the June 30th deadline. Unfortunately, there were some delays on the contractor side, and it appears we will not be able to complete the project by June 30th. So I look to rebudget $265,000, $265,695 in the 12-13 LBNI budget. We anticipate to spend the $13,305 in 11-12, and that's the difference between the 279 and the 265. I'll be glad to answer any questions should you have any.
So if I understand this correctly, it's not costing us any more money, you're just dividing the money spent between 2 fiscal years?
Correct. We were, like I said, optimistic that we would be completed within the June 30th deadline in 11-12, but there was some contractor delays due to non-responsive on the first lowest bidder, and so we had to go to the second lowest bidder, and I believe that was presented to the board on, May 22nd.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to schedule hearings. A court challenge to the action taken by the Board of Supervisors on any project or decision may be limited only to those issues raised during the public hearing or in written correspondence delivered to the Board of Supervisors during or prior to the scheduled public hearing. Our one item is Siskiyou County Transfer Station parcel charges. Mr. Minturn.
Good morning, Chairman Modi, members of the board, Pat Minturn, Public Works Director. Before you today is a routine item that's come before the board for the last 21 years. The board may recall that garbage collection throughout the county is carried out by franchise agreements here in the basin and up in Bernie by Bernie Disposal, but there's a small area up in northern Shasta County around the Castle Rock School District where they're more closely tied to Siskiyou County. Geographically, it makes sense to haul garbage north into Siskiyou County. So John Smith Sanitation out of Siskiyou County collects garbage there. And those folks may also haul their garbage day disposal to the transfer station up there. Siskiyou County chooses to subsidize their transfer station operations. They subsidize it by parcel charges collected on their property owners in Siskiyou County. So naturally, they look to us also to do likewise, to carry our share of the burden for the transfer station as well. And so 21 years ago, Shasta County agreed to start doing that, and we have historically collected a parcel charge on all parcels within the Castle Rock School District and remitted those to Siskiyou County, and they use that as a subsidy for their disposal operations. And so the curbside collection rate's a little lower for residents in our county and in their county, and that thereby somewhat discourages illegal dumping. So staff recommends that we continue this practice and impose the parcel charge. And if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them at this time.
Questions of Mr. Minturn?
It's a public hearing, isn't it?
Okay. That's only me that does that. We'll open the public hearing. Anybody want to speak on this matter? Not even the sheriff? Oh, just Jim. Okay, we'll close the public hearing. Is there a second? Thank you. Mr. Kehoe? Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye. 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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Minturn. For our closed session announcement, I want to advise the public that one item, Jesse Wells in County of Shasta has been removed from closed session, will not be discussed. So we will have one item only with our conference with our labor negotiator. At the conclusion of closed session, reportable action, if any, will be reported in open session. I also wanted to alert the public that our next two board meetings, that of July 3rd and July 10th, are canceled, as well as the Planning Commission meeting on July 12th. At this time, we will recess and convene as the Air Pollution Control Board. We will call to order the Shasta County Air Pollution Control Board meeting of Tuesday, June 26, 2012. First item in business, first, the Board of Supervisors does not receive any compensation or stipend as a result of convening as the Shasta County Air Pollution Control Board. First item is public comment period. Does anyone wish to speak to the board during open time? Seeing none, we'll move on to the consent calendar. The following consent calendar items are expected to be routine and non-controversial. They'll be acted upon by the board at one time without discussion. Any board member, staff member, or interested person may request that an item be removed from the consent calendar for later discussion. I have no advance requests. Anybody wish to remove an item from the consent calendar? Seeing none, pleasure of the board.
Move approval.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve our minutes from our last meeting. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Moving to our regular calendar, resource management, taking the following actions. Approve and authorize the chair to sign an amendment to the agreement with ACOM Technical Services to modify the project schedule for the Regional Climate Action Plan. And number two, approve a fiscal year 2012-13 budget amendment.
Sorry about that. Adam Fiesler, Shasta County Air Quality Management District. What you have before you is a recommendation to continue the process of developing a regional climate action plan for Shasta County and the unincorporated cities. One of the triggering issues that caused AECOM to request this is that their deliverables weren't being met. One of the more critical issues was the 30-day review period for the draft plan. Not being able to accomplish that deliverable, AECOM requested an extension. We weren't going to be able to pay them if their deliverables weren't met. That's just about it. It's only a date change on the contract. I'm open for questions.
Supervisor Kehoe.
Adam, thank you for your presentation this morning. Is there any downside to us in extending this contract?
There is. That downside is that the work will stop. We won't complete the process, and we've paid out roughly $135,000, and we would be stuck with what we have, which isn't exactly much.
Right. Do we have to have the regional climate action plan in place by a certain date?
No, there's no compliance date.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I think just for clarification purposes, I think you misheard this question. He wanted to know if there was a downside if we extended the date of finish it, not just quit.
Oh, okay, I do apologize. No, there's none.
So just for clarification, your answer was if we just stopped and didn't finish the project, that was what your answer pertained to?
Yes.
Great, thank you. For those who might be listening at home. Okay, any other questions? Pleasure of the board.
Move approval.
Moved and seconded. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Adam.
And the Shasta County Air Pollution Control Board is adjourned. And we will now move into our closed session.